morning. This is on State of Florida versus Jamel Demmons. Present is Mr. Demmons. Mr. Demmons, can you hear us?
Yes, sir.
What is it?
YNW.
YNW?
Yeah.
What's YNW stand for?
World.
We need you to be straight up with us and tell us where this happened. Okay? My understanding, you told these officers something, but the evidence doesn't show that it happened there. You may or may not know. If you knew who did this, would you tell me? It's either a yes or no question. Answer.
Throughout the week, the prosecutors have been trying to have YNW Melly and YNW Bortlen's trials combined in October, trying them both at the same time for the crime.
Today, or you don't want to pick a day, you want to?
Let's pick a day. That's October 2nd. That's also the date of the road tenant, so we can try them together.
You do it on October 2nd?
Well, we can't try them together because they're seeking on part one, and they're not seeking on the other one. And Judge Siegel indicated that he was not going to do dual juries. And I know there was, many years ago, the trend to do dual juries, but for the last, I think, 3 to 5 years, it has been shown that it takes longer and more complicated and raises more issues to have dual juries. So I certainly object to that.
As a lawyer would then go on to explain why trying them together would be a slam dunk for the prosecution.
Issue here, and you can try them together. It is to the benefit of the state to try them together. It just more efficient. You don't have to do things again and again. Do it all at once, and also you get a better chance of having them incriminate each other during the trial. It benefits the defense to sever it. That way they can point the finger at each other and get away with it. So this is what's going on. But I don't think it should be automatically severed because the state is seeking penalty for Melly, because it's only the penalty phase of the trial that would be different, not the guilt phase. The guilt phase is the same. They're both capital crimes. You're seeking the penalty on one, not the other, but that goes into the second part of the trial, the penalty phase, only if Melly is found guilty.
Thankfully, the request was denied, as during YNW Melly's court hearing, it was revealed his new trial date is now October 9th, allowing Bortlen's trial on October 2nd to begin a week before YNW Melly's. However, it would also be announced YNW Melly hires a new lead attorney named Jamie Benjamin to replace former lead David A. Howard in the upcoming trial. Benjamin joins the returning Melly team of Stewart and Raven Liberty. Benjamin is a legacy criminal defense attorney with a lengthy state and federal court experience in various cases. He's even won several penalty cases. Benjamin is also a former president of the Florida Association of Criminal Defense Lawyers, meaning that Benjamin is a very good lawyer, as YNW Melly has fired his old attorney of David A. Howard. However, the interesting part of the court hearing was this moment. After it was announced his new lawyer, YNW Melly would be heard saying, "I'm coming home," to family members that were in the gallery of the courtroom.
Movement. First part of November. Good for you guys. Number 10. Very good. State 10. 10. November 10.
As YNW Melly is very confident now, knowing the trials aren't going to be together alongside his new lawyer now gives YNW Melly a new chance at freedom. However, freedom is looking slim due to YNW Bortlen, as rumors state that he will snitch on YNW Melly to save himself at his trial, as his interrogation interview from 2018 was leaked this week. As YNW Bortlen can be heard stating the crime happened out of jealousy.
Let's talk about why. Are you having issues with anyone?
I mean, we are upcoming artists and stuff, so people like, you know, when you like start doing better than people, they start hating and stuff. You know what I'm saying?
So you had some jealousy issues.
Yeah, it's like jealousy issues. But goddamn, I haven't really been on there. But like he like my friend that's way now, God bless. He was telling me like, right. He always was telling me about how people, just like today, he was telling me some folks from up our way.
What's up your way?
Like Vero
Vero
Beach,
Beach?
like that's where I used to stay. You know what I'm saying? So I grew up there. So that's our hometown. You know what I'm
So
saying?
what did your friend say about from Vero Beach? What was he saying to you?
He was saying basically just like they go on like Instagram, Facebook, like.
Then later in the interrogation, the officer would then ask, if you know who did this crime, would you tell me?
By just telling me the truth, even if it's something that I don't want to hear, but I respect the truth rather than BS, okay? And it's a simple question. If you knew who did this, okay? You may or may not know. If you knew who did this, would you tell me? It's either a yes or no question. Answer.
Honestly.
Yeah, honestly. The truth. You wouldn't?
Because I wouldn't want to be a part of that. I wouldn't want to be.
Where YNW Bortlen doesn't give a firm yes or no answer by using his voice. Instead, he is seen shaking his head side to side, referring to no. This is because if it was YNW Melly who did the crime, he would obviously know that. So saying a one-word response to the officer saying no would have caused his voice to either be in a different volume than what he's been using during the entire interrogation. This is due to him lying. This would then be an obvious indicator to police that Bortlen knows a lot more than what he's sharing. But it also shows that YNW Bortlen is a lot smarter than people think. This is when the police officer would move on, asking details of the in-the-moment actions that were made during the quote drive-by. Questions asking Bortlen, did you crash into anything? Did you see any license plates or faces, etc.
And I'm driving, ducking for my life, trying to make sure I don't get hit. And you telling me you telling me about some shit. I don't know. You know what I'm saying? I'm trying to make sure I don't get hit. I'm driving. I'm trying to make sure I don't get hit. You know what I'm saying? What I'm gonna be worried about? You know what I'm saying?
I know it's not for you to worry about.
Shit crazy, bro.
But if you tell me it happened there's gotta be some evidence there. There's gonna be broken glass, just like there's broken glass over here from when you guys open the doors and stuff like that. Okay, there's gonna be broken glass over there when the windows got out. There's gonna be casings from the people at your car. Okay, there's gonna be evidence over there. Okay, right now there's nothing. I kind of think I know what happened because I got information.
As while YNW Bortlen was explaining to the officer the actions that he was making, it was very clear to the officer that Bortlen was lying. As the officer states, he believes he knows what happened, but he doesn't really want to say it. This made many fans worried for the next retrial. However, it gets worse from here, as a report just came out stating, according to a juror who served in the YNW Melly trial, claims a majority of the jurors wanted to convict Melly, but there was one woman who was on the jury as she was determined to find Melly not guilty, and she was able to convince 2 other people that he wasn't guilty too. Quote, his mom is lying. It was a 9-3 guilty, not the other way around, as this is a response interview to YNW Melly's mother, Jamie King, who after the mistrial was granted, would go post on her Snapchat saying, 9 not guilty, 3 guilty. It was a mistrial. My son will be home. God is still working. However, it gets much deeper than this, as it seems the juror causing the issues knew from the beginning that she was not going to change her mind at all.
Now, this is from Local 10 News right out of Fort Lauderdale, and they said most jurors wanted to convict Melly of 2 counts of the Broward County, the former juror has said. Now, this juror is speaking on the condition of anonymity, which means that they're not going to disclose their identity. The juror blamed the mistrial on one woman who served on the jury who appeared to be determined to acquit Jamel Demons. The juror goes on to say that from day one, she had issues with the 4-person selected, at one point crossing her arms and saying that she was done. When another juror asked to not shut down and she set her feelings aside, she was manipulative, she was rude, she yelled, insulted everyone, and she was just had a different opinion. The juror stated that she was there just to cause chaos.
As sources would claim that she wanted to be a, quote, hero, possibly wanting fame, financial gain, to be the one to save YNW Melly's life. The original votes were 11-1 for YNW Melly being guilty. However, the juror that wanted to be a hero would go on to do something unexpected.
On the last day of deliberation, the former juror said that while it appeared that there was 11-1 to convict Demmons, the woman pulled 2 jurors aside and spoke to them for a few minutes and convinced them to come to her side. They stated, and I quote, "Then she came over and announced to the group that they had changed their minds, but when another juror asked why she was speaking for them, the former juror said, adding that the woman then hurled insults, including at the man who was questioning her. And without an agreement, Broward County Circuit Judge John J. Murphy declared the mistrial, and you guys remember that.
As with the entire jury allegedly knowing within 30 minutes most of them wanted to convict YNW Melly, the one juror that wanted to be a hero would pull 2 of them aside. It's unknown what she told these 2 jurors, but allegedly, she was stating something about financial gain or even fame for saving a famous Florida rapper, which could have been the cause for them to change their mind. However, the juror that did the interview would go to mention why they even spoke about the trial in the first place, making YNW Melly's mother look extremely unprofessional.
The former juror said that the decision to speak up about what happened behind the scenes resulted from reports from Demmons' mother, Jamie King, who said that they were deadlocked at 9-3 in favor of an acquittal, which again, we find out from this juror, is incorrect. The former juror said it was actually the opposite. She said that she had came out because she said, "I don't want someone out there changing my vote." And she then goes on to say that you tell a lie enough, it becomes the truth. Now here's the best snippet. It says the next hearing for the case is on August 4th, and Demmons' team, as well as the prosecutors, agreed to start jury selection for the next trial on October 2nd. But again, we don't know if the judge is going to agree to a dual trial.
As the day after that report was released, we would then hear from O-Block resident Jay Hood, a friend of King Von, who would reveal something unexpected during an interview, as Von may have mentioned a little too much to a group of people at O-Block, as Jay Hood would go on No Jumper and reveal all.
Did Vaughn really tell you that Melly told him that he was 2 friends?
He ain't come out and say, like, we got into an argument. And so, you know, if you know, when people could say something without saying it. And so he told me, like, once I posted what I posted, Vaughn was mad at me. Bro, why you put up there, bro? Walter Bam. I'm like, you sitting up here, like, you know the love we got. You do this for us, but you gonna trust that his 2 friends? And he said, them was trying to extort him. And so I'm like, if they was trying to extort him, then why are you still around them?
As he would go on to reveal information that we never even knew, involving Sack Chaser and Juvie going after Melly for financial gain. That was a rumored scenario during the YNW Melly trial, however there was no evidence backing that claim. But this would then make fans piece together evidence that were shown in the YNW Melly trial, which would start with the lead detective revealing a text message of YNW Melly admitting to the crime.
The PC Gambino account asked him if he was okay, and his response was, "I did that," and placed a smiley face emoji.
And the next message from 10/26/2018 at 16:02 from Eastern Standard Time. The YNW Melly count says what?
After that, SHHHH.
And could you please stand and point on the right side of the screen exactly which part you're saying where the YNW Melly account says, "I did that"?
I did that. This is the thread ID. This is the text. This is the author. And this is the recipient. Then you come down here, same thing. The ID is for the actual message, which is just specific that one message. Then the thread ID is the actual continuing message.
For more context, after the passings in 2018, somebody would message YNW Melly on Instagram, asking, "Hey, are you okay? Tell me something." Where YNW Melly would literally reply, "I did that," with a happy face emoji. As once this was being shared within the courtroom, YNW Melly would be seen covering his face, looking embarrassed. However, the evidence only gets worse, as we would see more incriminating text messages between Melly and his girlfriend at the time, if you truly read through the lines.
Moving on to Friday, November 9th, 2029, 20 UTC, 2018. Message from Melly Montana to, again, that baby. What does that one say?
You don't with me anyways. I peeped it. You can slide, but God knows I wasn't in her and real breaking. You spoiled everything was given to you. You act like a some slide. I keep Bortlen with cuz at the
as YNW Melly is seen stating he will remain loyal to Bortlen all the way until the end. Bortlen did one of the realest things in his life for him, would never switch on him. Now I really wonder what that could be. Also on the cell phone of YNW Melly was a confession video to turning himself in.
There is also video number 1, 2, 3, 4. And in that video, Mr. Demons uses a that I don't want, that I think will be inflammatory, and on 403 grounds we would object. It refers.
Play it again.
Sure.
Hello, Slayback. It's real quick. My name is Melly, and I'm gonna turn myself in, but I'm in a suitcase because they are arresting me, and I have to get on a private jet.
Also found on YNW Melly's cell phone was a saved video link of a Facebook Live showing YNW Melly and Bortlen's actions hours after the crime occurred. As the report shares, the Stranger Things jacket YNW Melly is wearing in this video just hours after the crime is the same one that Juvie had on when they left the studio early on that morning. YNW Bortlen is wearing the one Sack Chaser had on too.
You see him? Melly still turned regardless of what happened this early morning. He's still out here being very positive. Turned still. Hey! The dog still turned, regardless of what happened. You already know.
As shortly after, we would then see Sergeant Williams taking the stand. He didn't hold back in the slightest, revealing the crime could not have been a drive-by.
Assignment, which is to determine if this is a drive. And my determination was that this is not a drive-by. And it's based upon this picture here, which is a very good picture to describe it. All of these rounds are done. One is done at a stationary position. At a stationary position when all but one of these rounds are going in. The one round that has some movement in it, which is round site L here, the actually moving in that to create the little bit of a that you see there.
Okay, a lot of information in that answer, so let's break it down a little bit. You mentioned so I'm gonna zoom in on site F.
Sergeant Williams took note of every single hole that was inside of the car. He then used what is known as the stick method to find out how the holes were created, including the direction of where it came from. YNW Melly's seat inside of the vehicle would go to share a perfect match.
Number, you said 17 outside the car. How many rounds were inside of the car?
3.
And can you exclude the for Mr. Williams and Mr. Thomas as coming from outside of the car?
Yes. From the driver's side back seat.
As to the shot that Christopher Thomas, where did that name from?
Driver's side back seat.
No. Is it possible for there to have been 2 inside that car?
No.
Why not?
There is no time.
So with Sergeant Williams guaranteeing the crime must have happened from the person in the back left seat, they would then call YNW Juvie's mother to the stand to tell who was sitting in that seat.
Can you state your name, your full legal name for the jury?
Leon Phillips.
Okay. And are you related to one of the victims in this case?
Yes, I am.
How so?
I'm his mother.
And who is that?
Christopher Thomas.
Positive 21915. Ms. Phillips, did you see who entered into the occupants who entered into that gray Jeep?
Mm-hmm.
And is that a yes?
Yes.
Do you recognize where your son entered that gray Jeep?
Yes.
Which seat, if you can identify for the jury?
He got in the back seat on the right hand side.
Did you recognize the individual that got into the back seat on the left side, the rear driver's side?
Yes.
And who was that individual?
Jamel.
And Jamel, is that the defendant, Jamel Demons?
Yes, ma'am.
With the jury hearing the crime must have happened from the person in the back left seat, YNW Juvie's father would then reveal he believed YNW Melly was guilty ever since the beginning.
From the day one, I believe that Melly was responsible for my son on October 26th when I first heard the story, because his explanation when I finally talked to him in Cortland on a FaceTime, their response and how they was reacting, they showed no remorse. They didn't act like they was grieving, like they lost a best friend or nothing. They was, in my opinion, they was in the best spirits. They wasn't reacting to. They act like they didn't have take a loss at all. That's how I took it. And then when I was talking to them, I still had in the back of my mind that something's not right.